So thank you all again for coming to AQ Thinking Thursdays. Today's topic is going to be choosing the true pill. So we've talked a lot, and many of you may have been to previous meetings. Many of you may have missed it or seen us online. But I recently released a new video with the Is God a Super Intelligent AI talk that we did. So if you haven't seen that, or if you weren't here, go ahead and watch that and catch up. Same if you're online. If you're seeing this on YouTube, just know that this is the video following that. So, the true pill, or some call it the red pill. What does it mean? Well, it's a very good analogy that people have used for many different things, but ultimately it's all expressing truth. And we've talked before about what is reality, what is truth, but today I want to make it a little bit more personal. Today I want to make it about your truth. What choices have you made in your life, or are making now, that have determined your life? And so this is going to take some honesty on your part, so I challenge you to be willing to challenge your own beliefs. There's an ancient Hindu prayer that says, "Lord, lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light. Lead me from death to eternal life." The part that I really like here is from the unreal to the real. That's very important, and as we've discussed in the past, for making just well-informed decisions. And as we know, with momentum, every choice we make has long-term ramifications, sometimes longer than we could even perceive or even imagine. So I challenge you to embrace this idea called metanoia. Metanoia is the journey of changing one's mind, heart, self, or way of life. Of course, there's good ways to do that, and then there's uninformed ways to do that. So I want you guys to be able to look at yourself through a new perspective. Look at yourself through a new lens. See yourself as an outside observer to yourself. Meaning, let the ego that is your persona, your character, let that be kind of suspended for a little bit. And I'm going to ask you some questions and answer truthfully in your own mind. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to tell everybody. This is just for you. So, let's begin. Allow yourself to see the benefit and the harm of all the choices you've made. Long term and in the past, right now and in the future. What choices have you made that have helped you a lot in your life? Think of those right now. Let them flash through your mind. Close your eyes. Let them just flash through your mind. What have you done in your life that you're so glad you did? And on the other side, imagine all the things that you did that hurt you in life, that robbed you of opportunities, or ruined relationships, or have held you back, or have made you sad. See the difference of the harmful things that happened to you and the good things that happened to you. There's a clear difference. And being able to weigh those two is a huge advantage. Being able to know where you're actually at, and being able to change the things that were harmful into things that were beneficial. So, let's begin the challenge. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and go. So do you spend a lot of your time obsessing about what's going on with the Kardashians or the latest celebrity? Do you focus on problems of other people or things that don't really matter? Or do you spend your time learning about history, learning about actually important events that have influenced humanity? Are you able to look at the big picture instead of being consumed by what the television wants you to see or what social media tells you is important? Are you able to see the big picture of humanity. Are you a couch potato? Do you not move very much? Do you not go outside? Are you stuck inside because of whatever stories you tell yourself? Or are you adventurous? Do you choose to explore? Do you choose to go out and see the world and experience different cultures, different events, different situations, meet new people? Do you enrich yourself through your experiences? Are you technologically challenged in any way? Do you view technology as something for the cool new kids or the youngsters to do, and not you? Are you falling behind because of that thought, because of that belief? Do you tell yourself that you're not good with technology? Or are you a master at all the latest technology and cutting-edge revolutions? Which one are you? Which one's beneficial for you? Are you overweight? Are you sad because of it? How's it affecting your health? Are you doing everything you can to be the best version of you? Or are you doing the right things every day? Are you moving? Are you going to beautiful places to exercise? Are you in the best shape of your life? Do you have energy? Do you have stamina? Do you do all the things that you want to do? Or are you suffering in that realm too? Think about it. Answer truthfully. Do you know what kind of food is good for you? Or do you just go for the quick and easy, cheap McDonald's or Burger King? Do you eat the things that are actually bad for you? Do you even know what's actually good for you, or do you just believe hearsay? Do you believe what everyone tells you, or do you actually do research? Like, not just reading an article research, but actually looking at research, actual research. Do you spend your money frivolously like an irresponsible rapper, just making it rain every day? Or do you spend frugally but invest like a billionaire? Do you let your money grow, or do you waste it? This one's very easy because you can just look at your bank statement and it'll tell you. There was once an accountant that I met, and he said, "Give me somebody's bank account and I'll tell you more about that person, and I'll know them better than if I had met them in person." And it's true. We are what we spend our money on. Do you work for money? Are you constantly slaving that 9 to 5 every day to rake in a little bit of cash to pay all the bills? Or are you letting your money work for you? Are you planting seeds of investment and watching that grow over time? Or does it does it leave your bank just as quickly as it comes in? Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Or are you sitting comfortably and watching things grow? Ultimately, these questions help us know if we're living our most optimal life. Are you living the life you've always dreamed of? Not just for you. It's very easy to get sucked in, oh, poor me, woe is me. But are you living the best life for yourself and for everyone around you? Because remember, the way that you live also impacts others. And if you're happy, your family will be happy, your friends will be happy. Imagine how much better it would be if you had friends that were uplifting versus friends that kind of brought you down, or family members that bring you down. And I'm not saying to get rid of these people. I'm just saying choose to learn from them. There's good examples in life and there's bad, but ultimately our choices help us figure out what kind of life we want and how to get there. So being able to know what's a good choice and a bad choice can be hard sometimes. Some people say this is true, and others say no, that's true. Maybe they're both true, but if you look at the big picture, you want to know what is the overall truth. And if you know the overall truth, you can use that to your advantage. You can use that to make better decisions and to improve your life, the life of your family and your friends, and everyone you care about. Maybe even people that you'll never get to meet. So to do this, we should use evidence, not politics, not media, not culture, not ideology. We shouldn't get sucked up into different terms or how should I do this and get people's different opinion. It's good to get opinions. It's good to get perspectives, but always remember that we should be able to back that up with evidence. And speaking of evidence, not all evidence is equal. You want a preponderance of evidence, meaning make a list. If you're unsure, make a list of all the different sources, of all the different things that are pros and cons of any idea or decision. And then the one that has the most, go with that. And if you're starting to go that route and it's not working out, keep on making your list. Try the other side. Eventually you'll figure out which is the best side, or maybe you'll think of a new option that you didn't even consider before. Now to do this, something that's very beneficial besides just experience is reading books, gaining knowledge from lifetimes. You know, the greatest treasures that people leave behind are books, not their furniture, not money. Those things go away very quickly or they're degraded very quickly. But ideas and thoughts, things that actually benefit our lives, it starts with knowledge. So it's good to read books and think about them. You can do that. Anybody can. It's very easy. There's libraries, there's books that you can get oftentimes for free online. There's even CDs and audiobooks for those that want to do it on the go, like if you're jogging or working out. Instead of listening to, music, how about listening to an audiobook that's actually going to help you in life? Or if you're driving, listen to a CD if your car allows you to. Mine does. It's actually an older car, which I actually appreciate because it has a CD player. And I get to listen to a bunch of cool CDs as I'm driving. The fact that you're all here today shows me that you do know how to invest time in things that will help you. You see value in being here and in listening to these talks. So you're a big part of the people that can make positive changes in your life. So congratulations. In order to better your life, like we mentioned, you need to be able to peer through and see your inner workings and the outer workings. So meaning the big picture of the universe and the big picture of yourself. So I want to give you guys tools to help you do that better. So here's 3 tools for success. If you go to our quick link at AQ Adaptive Intelligence, you'll see that we've got a whole bunch of things there for you. One of the things that I really hope you guys will use are tools to be able to check in with yourself objectively and see where you're at. So some of the tools that we added recently is the Brain Food Tracker, which is an app. We also included a What's Your AQ quiz, which is an online-based quiz, and also a scheduler to help you book a Neuro Healing session. And that's with me personally. So just to talk about the app a little bit, this app was developed by Dr. Michael Greger, who I actually had the pleasure of meeting. He's a really nice guy. And he's the founder of nutritionfacts.org. And he developed this plant-based nutritional app that you can put on your phone and basically track what you've been eating. So he's a certified nutritionist, and he knows very well, and you can watch his videos online as well. He knows how to eat the right way, and his videos are done in a very entertaining way. I've been watching them for years, and I love his work. I highly recommend you check him out. So the app is called Daily Dozen, and you can find it on both Android and on the iPhone as well. The other thing that we added in, which was the quiz, is called the Wheel of Life, and that's developed by Tony Robbins, who, as many of you might know, is a personal health, wealth, personal growth coach, and he's been doing it for many, many years. The quiz that he developed is called the Wheel of Life, and it helps you assess where you're at in terms of how much fun you're having in your life, how much money you have, the status of your family, your spirituality, how your love life is, what your career goals, how they're measuring up, what your health is at, and even your friendships. So check him out. I've been studying Tony for many, many years. I highly recommend Tony and on all his books. They're definitely going to change your life if you invest that little bit of time. And then there's Neuro Healing with me for AQ Adaptive Intelligence. This is what we specialize in. We basically go in and assess with lots of technology. We assess what your biometrics are. We assess your brain in its entirety, and we look to improve its function. We want to optimize you to your best performance levels. So this is great if you're a tech entrepreneur, or if you're a CEO, or if you're just a mom who has so many things to do, or if you're stressed out, or if you feel overwhelmed, or if you want to get better gains in the gym. Anything and everything that you want to improve your life in, it's all going to be capped and depends on the level of your neurological ability. So we work to improve that. So I highly recommend you check us out and schedule a session with me. I'm doing a free coaching session if you want more information. So go ahead and click the link. You already know how to get there. And here's the link. So you can either go to the link, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'll have it listed underneath. You can also scan this code, or you can just go ahead and directly type in this address to your search bar, or if you have access to the link itself, go ahead and click that and go to the very last link, which is to schedule a Neuro Healing session. And then you can also find the other tools as well. So to conclude this discussion, I would like for you to consider which areas in your life can you improve today. And if you don't know, I highly recommend you using that tool with Tony Robbins, the What is Your AQ quiz, to figure out in more detail and to measure that numerically to see where you're at and where you can improve, and to periodically, every week or every month, use it again and check in. So, what are your thoughts?
Adaptive intelligence. You searched for more. You wanted to become the best version of yourself. Your search is over, and the technology finally exists. To go beyond limits. Your time has come. Unleash your potential. AQ. Adaptive intelligence.
What do you think you can improve upon? Let's talk about it. So go ahead and leave comments down below, and let's have that discussion. And if you're here, let's continue the talk.
Actually, one of the things that I think on is my perception of the planet and the world that I choose to live in. My perceptions have changed over the years. We get comfortable with our own perceptions sometimes. And, I see my teenager, my 19-year-old son, he's comfortable with his life right now and his perception of life, where he chills on his phone for 10 hours a day and goes to work for a couple. And that's a perception. Yep. And when you become a parent, then you start thinking, how are my kids' perceptions and how are they different from mine? And it's pretty interesting how that changes. And so that causes me as a parent of 5 kids to think about my perception and how it will be next year or in 6 months or in 20 years. One of the things that that this group has taught me a couple of weeks ago is that how you perceive your life. Is it happy? Is it sad? What is that perception? And that determines your life and your outcome and the way your brain hardwires. And so I've really been focusing a lot on that the last couple of years or weeks. And I realized that I have been perceiving everything through this weird tint of these glasses of frustration. And everything I look at as frustration. And that's a perception. Yep. And that's a bad perception that doesn't serve me, and it doesn't help me, and it doesn't help my family, and it makes me not fun to be around, frankly. So, my perception is what I want to be working on, is how I view the world, how I view people, how I view everything.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm so glad you made that discovery. Yeah, that's a game changer right there. Like that's what changed my life from being miserable and unhappy to like living like crazy adventures every day and like, chasing my dreams and becoming the best version of myself every day. There's so much value in just that perception.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally do agree with that. I used to go on a whole lot of adventures and everything too, and the last couple of years have been really hard on me with my son coming to move in, my stepson coming to move with me 6 years ago, and then my back getting injured and being in a wheelchair for 2 years, and just everything. It's been a hard couple of years, and I've gotten stuck in a rut of mud in my psychological perception. And I've got to climb out of it. I don't like, when I look in the mirror, I don't like who I am. I don't like that I sit around on the couch and just eat and get fat. I don't like that I'm not energetic anymore. I don't like that I'm not calling friends and hanging out. The other day you called me, Gabe. You said, I thought you had a lot of friends, Jeff. And, I'm going through my phone. I do have 1,000 friends, but I never call any of them. But that's part of this rut that I'm in. Mm-hmm. So I don't develop those friendships anymore. So perception is what I want to change. That's what I want to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like you're doing it. So that's good. And honestly, awareness is the first step to being able to change anything. I know it's a cliche saying that they say, but
that is true. Yeah.
What about you, Denzel? What do you think you could change?
Maybe I could be more social. I'm pretty antisocial.
Well, you're pretty social by being here, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a start. Who knows?
Congratulations, brother. You're well on your way. And you're a very social guy. I mean, when I met you, it was at a social gathering, so I know you're a sociable guy.
No, it's like I get bored easily, so it's like
yeah, I do too. Yeah. I do too. That's why I kind of do like the butterfly thing. I just kind of butterfly around the room and talk to random people.
I can't even do that.
Oh, really?
I defeat the conversation before it even starts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, a chess player plays chess against himself before he plays against the opponent.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Oh, so you talk yourself out of it.
It's different. It's more like, where would this conversation ultimately go? It's assumption, sure, but self-defeatist is a negative connotation. I think it's more nihilist.
Yeah. Well, then challenge that belief. Like whenever you start to have that go on, just say, "Is this really true?
Mantras
is this actually true?"
But I appreciate the effort. Mantras wouldn't work, but I appreciate the effort.
Well, give it a shot sometime. Challenge yourself. That's the biggest thing, is being able to challenge yourselves. It's very easy to get stuck in this pattern of, no, I know what's going to happen, and I'm always right.
I wouldn't say that either.
Let it. Life can surprise you if you let it. So Never know.
You know,
Okay.
it's funny that you say that, Gabe, because I appreciate what Denzel's going through. You know, sometimes some of my neighbors will come up and talk to me, and I already know where it's going to go and what's going to happen with it. So I appreciate what you're saying, Denzel, and I appreciate, you know, how that can be like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. You know, I know it's just going to end up they're going to need a favor or something like that, and I just talk myself out of it. But you know, the funny thing is that I have found, and I'm curious if you've ever found this, Denzel. Have you ever just met somebody, thought you knew what was going to happen, and then something totally opposite happened in the conversation that you didn't expect?
It's been a very, very, very long time. I've got a very complicated background, so I don't know. Typically, people like that have like this aura about them. What you could say, via their body language or via the way they are composed, but they set themselves apart naturally versus, you know, the norm nowadays, which is superficially. But you don't see that too often nowadays.
Well, I know when I first met Denzel, like I wasn't expecting our conversation to go where it did, and I'm so glad it did because it was super cool, and he's still such a great friend. So I'm glad that like, because like for me that day I was feeling very nervous myself, and I wasn't talking to many people. But then like I sat down, I saw Denzel over there, I was like, and I had the courage somehow for some weird reason to like just say something to him, and then it turned into a friendship. So I'm super glad that I had the courage to just say something to anybody. Even though I was like in a moment of like, I don't know if I should talk to anybody. So I'm super appreciative.
We both know that you don't get nervous.
No, I do all the time. Seriously, I'm just really good at like pushing myself out of that. Like even like when I'm doing like talks like this, like I'm nervous.
I project a lot, so learn something new.
Yeah. But it's, you know, it's one thing to be able to like know that you're nervous or like that you're projecting, but it's another thing to consciously choose to say, okay, that's what I normally do. What if I do something different? So don't make it about them, make it about you. You know, like like that's what I'm saying by challenge yourself is recognize that you're in that pattern and then challenge that pattern. Because that pattern is not you, it's just a way of thinking. The pattern can change like that if you change your state.
Yeah.
And that's what Tony Robbins talks about all the time. That's why I really appreciate him. And actually the work that I do changes people's states. So if they're depressed, when they leave, they're happy and smiling. If they're in pain, they leave, and well, a large part of that is all neurology, and the neurology determines what state you're in. So if you choose higher states and you do things that you know will put you at a higher state, you're more likely to live there, and that's where your new normal will actually be.
But the problem with living in a higher state, so to speak, is it's not feasible societally. Like I can eat there all day long. Pretty much do at this point, but it's like at the end of the day, the longer you spend in the cosmos, it's like, yeah, the longer you spend up there, wherever up there is kind of relative. And it's almost like when it comes down to like the nitty gritty, if you don't have the control over it, a higher plane of existence, it becomes difficult to ground yourself the higher up you go. It's like every level there has to be a different type of grounding.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where even, you know, mantras or self like introspection or reflection where they become stale. Because your ego or the capital S self just kind of is like, what's the point of, you know, existing in like the grainy details of it all when I can just float around and speak to, you know, ethereal entities all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, I would say the value is in the experience. I mean, I had that realization too that you're talking about, like when I was with like the shamans, and yeah, I had that same realization. It's like, you know, everything is just, the universe is so big and we're so small, but that's partly true, but it's also partly not true. And the reason I say that is because you never know what something you do, say, or think will impact somebody in the future. You know, it could be like thousands of years in the future. I mean, like look at the ancient, the ancient Hindu prayer that I mentioned today. I don't know who wrote that, but that thought, them taking the time to think that, recognize that, realize that, share it, and then 2,000 years or however many thousands of years later, we're talking about it and thinking about it now, and it's affecting our lives. I'm sure he never even anticipated, whoever that was. I'm assuming it could have been a she. They never realized the impact of their thought.
Yeah, but that's like assuming that you want to leave a legacy. I just fail to see the point at this, like, I guess at this point in my life, or I never really saw the point. Like, being remembered is not really a ideal of mine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if anything, you know, even if you get into like art, right, and being appreciated kind of loses its luster, because as time progresses, it's misrepresented in the context of its age. Like God being an AI, that's only based off of our current understanding. That's the highest version of, you know, whatever we're looking at. And we're like, this interconnectedness of it all, it's kind of what a God would be. But soon we'll be past the concept of AI, right? We'll be past the concept of an internet, of computers, blah, 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 blah. So, like, even if I'm remembered as a legacy, it won't matter as much by my predecessors.
Right. Not by your
knowledge inflates like money.
Can I share something in the conversation about existence? Just to mess around with your minds. I think that if you look at existence from the point of view that, you know, we exist not to make ourselves happy, but to be around others and make a difference in their lives, it changes your perspective on existence. Because I mean, just living your life just to satisfy yourself and disregard everybody else, it will sooner or later take you to a miserable spot. But if you live your life thinking also about others, then it gives a different meaning to your existence. That's just one thing that I want to throw in the equation, and that's one thing that I'm trying to do, and you know, change my perspective on life. Like, you know, Jeff said, you know, I agree. You know, sometimes you have to take a few steps back and see your life and see where it's going. But I think that it will be more meaningful if you just live your life, not just for yourself, for others.
Mr. Cassetta, I agree with you wholeheartedly. How do I put it? Maybe I just haven't found like the group of people I want to better people. I do. Like, I love it. I love talking about stuff like this. I love talking about, like, you know, the purpose, the ether, blah, blah, blah. But
I was gonna say that when you started to talk. I say, maybe you didn't find the right group of people that, you know, will actually incentivize you in, you know, to better yourself, for not for yourself only, but also for others, you know. And so and at some point you will find that the group of people that will be very meaningful for you. It's a matter of time.
I appreciate your input. I really do.
Believe me,
it's been lonely with the COVID thing and everything.
Group right here.
Yeah, I know.
Whether you want to or not, you are going to leave some kind of legacy. Whether you want to or not. That's
in
just
somebody else's mind.
What?
In somebody else's mind or life, he's going to change something.
Oh yeah.
Like it or not, he's going to influence somebody else, not only himself.
Well, yeah.
Everything we say to others will influence their life in some type of way. You know, sometimes more or less, but again, you know, it took me 50 years to find a group of people that I really like. You know, I was born in Argentina and I lived in the States for 30 years. So basically, I've been living here for 30. I left Argentina when I was 20. And since I moved here for the last 30 years, 28 years probably, 28 out of the last 30, I didn't even want to get involved with the, you know, Hispanic any Hispanic community or group because they were always problematic and, like too much drama and, like, so I just shoved them to the side. I said, no, no, no. And then things happening, things happened in the last few years that for one or another reason, I got close to a little group and, it changed my life. And because it's the right group for me, and so it changed a little bit the meaning of my life. And I think that is changing, I'm dragging other people with me, my wife and some friends and, in a good way, in a good way.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
And if you're doing it for a good purpose, then it will give new meaning to your life. If you know what you are doing is right, and everybody knows that, you know it in your heart if whatever you do is right or wrong. And if you do the right thing and you see the fruits of that, then it will bring joy and it will give different meaning to your life. I lived most of my life just thinking about myself, and how to get ahead in life, and but that can only take you so far. Then you hit yourself against a wall at one point,
Yeah.
because you just go on just living a selfish life. At some point in your life, something is going to happen that is going to trigger those questions. What have I done with my life? Why did I live it that way? Probably I could have done other things to, make my life more meaningful, not just, getting a new car or making more money, but some other meaning that it goes beyond that, the material stuff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's good to realize that there's more to life than just materialism, and that goes back to my notion of are the beliefs that you have serving you, or are they hurting you? So, like my dad mentioned, he used to have a belief about Hispanic people, and he wouldn't associate with them. Well, that was actually a harmful belief for him. But once he overcame that belief, he was able to then get the thing that he actually wanted. So, what is the belief that you have that is keeping you from getting what you want? And for a lot of people, I realize that nihilism is probably one of the most limiting beliefs that we have, the only one. So choose an idea or a belief that actually benefits you, and that again, that goes back to choosing the preponderance of evidence. It's very easy to say, "Oh, this is why I believe that nihilism is right," and only focus on that. But have you ever challenged, why is nihilism wrong? For example, like there's lots of beliefs that we have. We should always see both sides, or even multiple sides if there's more, and then get the bigger picture.
Right.
I'm going to try to give Jeff an opportunity to talk because he got cut off last time. Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, I was just saying that a lot of I was telling Denzel, that it's pretty clear to me that you're an intelligent man and you think very strong and you've done a lot of thinking, but sometimes when we get up to a certain level of thinking, we forget the simple things. So I was going to remind you of something simple, is that it's not always about achieving something; it's about the journey. And talking to people, meeting new people, being social with new people, can be the fun part on just exploring that. And yeah, a lot of times it can be stupid. You're right. And it can be dumb and ignorant people and all that. But sometimes the journey is important. And a lot of times we can forget those kind of simple lessons that we learned when we were in high school. So maybe that might help thinking on that level. I know for me it does. I'm a very social person, but I've also been struggling with not wanting to be social as much because of the same problem. And like what you were saying is that, the right people is important too. Like this group. I mean, we're keeping up with you intellectually, right? You're having fun with this, right?
Of course.
Well, see, so that's what I'm saying. I've been enjoying this too. I mean, I don't really like the format. It kind of sucks. I'd rather be sitting around, a table, eating a meal together. But, it's still nice to have something. So I think, I think that finding the right group is important. And sometimes we got to hunt for that, like we do for a woman. No, you don't find the right woman. The first one you take out on a date, you got to go through a bunch of losers and pay your debt, and then you finally earn the group of people or find the woman that you want. You know what I mean?
And
That's
I
my 2
agree.
cents.
And I agree.
Wise words from Jeff.
Yeah.
No, I'm going through the same thing right now, so I totally appreciate where you're coming from. I really am going through the same thing. That's why I really believe that God led me to meet Gabe, is because he can keep up with me intellectually, and a lot of times he's actually 2 steps ahead of me. So I really appreciate finding him. But Gabe was just some guy walking by me in the park, and if I was like closed-minded and didn't even care, because he says, "You guys looking for the comment?" And I says, I could just said like, "Nope," or "Yep," or just kind of been a smart ass. But because I was outgoing and willing to talk to him, even though he might have been a loser, it led me to the best friendship I've met in years. So don't underestimate the power of spontaneity and what could come from talking to the idiots out there.
Fair enough.
Yep. I just went surprised.
You have to talk to the right. You have to talk to the right idiots.
There you go. Yeah. And I also wanted to say thank you for listening to my 2 cents. You didn't have to give me that gift, but thank you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's true. That might mean that you're a leader, Denzel, and it'd be good if you used your talents to help others come up. It's like if you're up here and everybody else is down here, the morally responsible thing and actually the beneficial thing for you is to help them up.
I'd say in another life, maybe. I don't have the
I hear you on
patience
that.
to network, but I vehemently loathe social media. So I don't see the platform developing anytime soon. But I definitely do believe that I cannot save myself from myself. I think that I need an outlet, and I do think that it needs to be intellectually stimulating, and it needs to be from other people that can at the very least meet me halfway.
Yeah, and we were not created to be alone. We were created to socialize and live with among other people. Look with this pandemic, how many people are suffering because they can't go out and interact with others. So isolation is not going to be very beneficial, and finding the right people is the key.
That's true. I will say that nowadays, and this may not have been a problem for the older gentlemen in the room, but it seems as though older individuals are a bit more open to these kind of conversations versus my peers being very what's the word, secular.
Yeah, well, then you have to hang out with the oldies.
Yeah, that's true.
Drink a scotch at a
Hey,
cigar bar.
my first job when I was 18 was to be a salesman, textile salesman. And most of my customers that had their own business, their stores, were older guys. They work all their life, they made money, they opened their own stores, and I was selling them stuff, right? So most of them, basically, I spent all day talking to older people, older than me. I was 18, they were in their 60s, so 70s. So they were old for me back then. But I learned quite a bit from all that talking and listening among those people. That it made a difference in my life, I think.
Yeah, learning from other people's experiences.
Yeah,
it's experiences that I myself will never have. The only problem I would see is like some people are only their experiences, and I think it takes like a second to step back, which seems very minute and small. And I think Gabe excels at this, is to encourage people to take a second, take a breath, and look at who they are because of their experiences, like yourself, Mr. Cassetta, you are very cultured. I can tell, right? But that takes, it takes a certain level of self-reflection, and sometimes a humbling experience or two. But I think that makes the greatest of people. But I think it also it's easy to avoid nowadays. And so you see less of these well-rounded people that haven't been lost in their own hubris or blinded by their own experiences. I guess that's the reason I hesitate, because you see a lot of one or the other. You see a lot of black or white, and there's not a lot of gray anymore, especially after this election. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But Les, how long have you been living in the Bay Area? How do you know? So you've been here your whole life. What's been your experience? But the question was, is California quick? And even though it may not be the quickest, it doesn't mean that it's not quick. I would have to say my brother lives back east, and it's far, far slower, and he cannot stop raving about the quality of life. He's got to go to work 2-3 days a week, and he's got his bills covered. Out here, if you don't go to work 5 days a week and have a part-time job, you're not going to get your bills covered, which means you don't have time to mow the lawn, to take care of the kids. New York's faster, but California's pretty damn quick, too.
Did you guys ever see that movie Escape from New York?
No.
What about Escape from Los Angeles? No? Those are all.
Is that possible?
Huh?
Is it possible to escape from Los Angeles?
Well, the first movie that I saw from the 80s was Escape from New York, right? Well, I escaped from New Jersey because of people. It seemed to be that people never had time for anything. They were always in a hurry. There was no time for like sitting at a table and talking to each other and blah, blah, blah. And so the first time I came to visit on vacation, came to visit South Carolina, I couldn't believe it. I was like, where am I? Is this a different country? Like, why are people so slow? Why do they stop to talk to me? Why is a cashier socializing with me? Greeting me and talking to me, but that's the feeling that I had. And when some of my relatives came this way, and they were born here in the US, I'm talking about the youngest generations, they said, I remember I was laughing. One of my cousins said, we came last night and we stopped at the hotel, and then we went to get a bite at night, and people actually were holding the door for us to go into the restaurant. And we never see that in New Jersey. And and they were just commenting on the food and talking to us and asking us questions. Did you like this? Did you like that? Oh, you have to try it, whatever. And they say, like, we are not used to this up there in New Jersey. It's like people don't talk to each other. They don't have time for you. So maybe that's a little bit in California, then so maybe you didn't find the right people just because there are of those people in California,
That's fair. I moved up to Raleigh, so I'm living in North Carolina now. It's more free love up here. I'll give it that.
The funny thing is that I actually want to slow down because I've been in California my whole life. I want to move up to Oregon where things are a little bit slower, but I'm terrified I'm going to be bored.
Yeah, you probably
do not slow down. Do not slow down. Trust me.
What do you mean? Tell me.
God, South Carolina, right? I work in the automotive industry, and so we have to we make car parts, right? So drive shafts for cars, blah blah blah. And it's like a, week-long grind, right? My phone was going off all night, blah, blah, blah. I tried to slow it down. I worked for a steel fabricator, and my God, I was so bored. I had no choice but to, be on Reddit all the time and, research stuff about, existentialism, blah, blah, blah. And it sounds great on paper. It's like, hey, I'm being paid to do this. Man, it is not fun. It is not fun. Weeks drag by.
Okay, so let me tell you this. Let me not tell you, but talk to you about this. I have been going so fast for so long that I feel like I'm burning out. But if I take off up to my cabin cruiser boat and I stay up there for a month and I have nothing to do and it just bored off my brain, it resets the circuit breaker somehow. And I feel more balanced. My digestion gets fixed. I start sleeping better. Stress comes down, and my body starts functioning right. And the concern is that on one hand, I have a body misfunctioning and malfunctioning, but it's like I'm always busy doing something. I'm never bored. On the other hand, I'm bored a little bit, and then things work right. I believe, and this is kind of the part I want you to comment on. I believe that we are built and designed to be bored on some level sometimes. That's why we can reflect and look into ourselves, pull closer to God, pull closer to ourselves, whatever you're into. But that's a part of existing as a human being, I believe. And I believe in California, I can't do that. I'm just too busy. What's your take, Denzo?
I think that existence has tiers, and I think that based on what level you have been to is what level you reach for when you introspect. And I think in boredom, you naturally introspect. I think boredom and meditation kind of go hand in hand, right? So when your mind is idle, if you know, moving slow is to put it another way, moving slow is like meditation for a busy man, so to speak. So if you're moving, then if you come here, not here, if you move to like South Carolina and you work 3 days a week, sitting at a desk, just filing papers, making the same amount of money, you're technically in meditation because there's no thought process whatsoever to the job, and you're not distracting yourself. So you have no choice but to. And seeing as you're, you know, self-aware and you're pursuing something out there, right, which you've said is a closer connection to God, I think it will come in your idleness. Makes sense? People pursue when their minds are still what they are known to pursue, right? If you have vices, then your idle mind will pursue the vice. If it's kind of like anxiety, right? If you're anxious, you want to relieve it. If you're idle, you want to utilize it.
Okay. So you're talking more about the balance.
That was
you're talking about.
Let me ground it. I think it's a pro and a con. I think meditation or slowing down is good to some degree, but I think you kind of like lull yourself too. I've seen a lot of very fast moving people move to South Carolina and work in a fast paced industry, and then they slow down, or being slowed makes them make more mistakes because they ramp up too fast. Maybe aim for the middle ground like Florida.
Maybe what I'm doing is good. That maybe I should have, you know, a summer home and a winter home, so that way I can go up and relax and then come back when I get bored. Because that's my big problem is I always like to have people around me. I think if I go up there, I might get bored. So maybe having both might be good.
You know, if you still like kind of California, the closest thing here in the East Coast is Asheville.
Yeah.
Asheville. You know, that's the closest to California that you're gonna be here in the East Coast.
Everyone knows flannel there. It's great. I went to a record shop. It was amazing. There's so many trees. The air is wonderful. Go to Asheville. I highly agree.
What state is that in?
Different. That's the city. It's in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And of course, it's just sitting right at, you know, the bottom, the feet of the Appalachians, you know.
It is gorgeous. The drive-in is gorgeous. Everything is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite spots.
Everyone dresses like lumberjacks. It's great. you walk into a Waffle House and you expect syrup because everyone's dressed in red and black flannel shirts.
And also, if you go,
I'm getting a visual. Thank you.
You know, no, wait a minute. Now, if you go to Asheville, in Asheville, you're gonna see, you know, like kind of hippies, and you're gonna see a lot of, you know, things. Let's put it this way: there are lots of small stores, lots of artists in the area that open their own like stores and you know, alternative foods, and you know, it's different. It's nice.
It's California without the money. It is very free love. There are no big industries there, and so everyone kind of you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's it. This is that. I mean, we have that. We are at 1.5 hours from Asheville. We actually live in Greenville. Did you ever visit Greenville?
I used to live in Greenville.
Oh, okay. When? How long ago?
2 months ago.
Oh,
Greenville's like Asheville. Greenville's a lot like it. Greenville's probably the best place in the Middle East. That came out wrong. Middle Eastern America. It's one of the best because you got Charlotte, which is great. You got Asheville, which is great. You got
Atlanta, that is not
Atlanta,
too far.
Columbia, Charleston. It's all within like 2 hours. It's great.
Correct. You got the ocean within 3 hours. You got the mountains
Beach,
within an hour and a half. You know, it's like
Greenville is great. So Jeff, if you were to move to the east, or at the very least have like a seasonal home, I would pick Greenville. There's a reason it's so big now.
You guys sound like a travel brochure.
Well, you know,
guys, I can't move to the East Coast. I've got 5 kids here, and I've got my elderly parents here that I got to take care of. One of them is not well. I can't be leaving. I got to stay within driving distance where I can. Hey, I'll be there tomorrow.
If you move to Greenville, you can live out of your parent pension.
I couldn't imagine having 5 kids. That'd be like,
you know, compared to California, everything is ridiculously cheap here. You know, like houses and taxes.
I know. Yeah. My brother tells me about it. I know. I mean, he went out and bought a house for like $25,000, fixed it up, sold for $50,000. You know, I mean, I know. I mean, that's like a car payment. You know, around here. I mean, that's houses start. I mean, even the townhouse I live in starts at $600,000.
Right. And
this is a small 1,300 square foot townhouse. I mean, it's just owning a house is not possible in this area, not in California.
Right. So basically,
I appreciate that.
It makes you a slave of your, you know, all that.
And that's,
you know,
and that's why we're all so freaking busy out here.
You know, that's
because of that.
That was my feeling in New Jersey. I say, you know, what about we have to move to a bigger house? So it's $700,000. And then we have to pay $18,000 in taxes, you know, every year just to have the house sitting there, plus the insurance, plus this, plus that. So, you know, bottom line, I have to get up and go to work every day so I can pay the taxes on the house. No, no. Yeah. I'm not going to be a slave of the system.
It was great seeing you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's good to see you, Les. Take care, everybody. Okay, guys?
All right, take care. Bye, thanks.
See you guys. Bye.